You've felt fear. It's a dark night and you're watching a horror movie. You scream or jump a little when a scary scene comes up. Or you're plunging down the big drop on a roller coaster and your palms are sweating while you yell from the thrill. We're not talking about that kind of fear. Sometimes, fears become excessive and irrational to the point where we can't function normally. The intense worry and avoidance caused by these fears can interrupt day-to-day living, causing panic when that fear is encountered. That's when the fear becomes a phobia. Phobias are classified into 3 types: social phobia, agoraphobia, and specific phobias. Specific phobias are further grouped into 5 major categories: environment, situational, animal, blood, injection, injury, and others. A 2017 study found that over 10% of adults in the United States alone struggle with phobias. This makes phobias the most common psychiatric illness among women and second most common among men. Curious if you have a particular phobia?
Let's look to the 10 phobia in this video.
Hemophobias, a fear of blood.
Help! Please turn the lights on. Help me, I'm scared. Help me.
Causes of nyctophobia. Experts believe that nyctophobia generally originates from a traumatic experience in the past. As a child, one might have been left in the dark as a punishment. Siblings and friends might also be responsible for instilling the fear of darkness. Movies, TV shows, and literature depicting horror, blood, ghosts, and other paranormal activities that normally take place in the absence of daylight are often also responsible for creating a deeply rooted fear of darkness. Domestic violence, sexual abuse in childhood at night, and other devastating or traumatic events can also leave a child confused, scared, and anxious. Symptoms of nyctophobia. They might experience physical symptoms in the form of aches and pains, rapid shallow breathing, heart palpitations, shivering and trembling, chest pains or feeling like choking, nausea and other gastrointestinal distress, crying, screaming, reduced appetite, or conversely, overeating.
Zoophobia.
Zoophobia refers to a fear of animals. Most of the time, this fear is directed at a specific type of animal. However, it's also possible for a person with zoophobia to fear all or many types of animals. Zoophobia is one of the many types of specific phobias. A specific phobia is an anxiety disorder in which you have an intense, exaggerated fear of something like an animal, object, or situation. How common is phobia of animals? Overall, specific phobias are common. Animal phobias are one of the most common types of specific phobia. Possible that several factors could contribute to the development of the condition, including negative experiences. Having a negative experience with an animal may cause you to fear it. For example, someone who's been attacked by a dog may become afraid of dogs. Learned behaviors. We may also learn to fear animals from someone who is close to us, such as a parent or sibling. Genetics. There's a possibility that genetics may also play a role in specific phobias.
Cacophobia, fear of ugliness. Dapat maganda tayo bukas. Bawal ang pangit. Yuck! Oy, Bes! Ha? Andiyan si Crush? Okay ba yung mukha ko? What? No! Bawal mo yung pangit. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Ayoko magpangit. Okay na ulit. Uy, Bes! Okay na ba? Sa wakas, buti naman. Hello, Justin! Thank you. Cacophobia is an overwhelming and irrational fear of ugliness. A person who suffers from this phobia is not just afraid of ugly people, they also fear of any object or situation they perceive as ugly. Aclophobia, fear of crowds. Ha? Ma, sabihin mo po ba na ako? O, bestie, ba't ka napunta dito? Ha? Yung sumama, dito na lang ako sa bahay. Okay, bye-bye. Ingat kayo. Ay. Birthday ko na bukas. O, ano na naman tong pakulo nyo? Dapat magugustuhan ko to, ha? Ha? Pwede ko nang tanggalin? Experiencing trauma while in a crowd, seeing someone else experience trauma in a crowd, becoming lost in a crowd as a child, or being separated to a parent.
Autophobia. Autophobia, also called monophobia, isolophobia, or eremophobia, is the specific phobia of isolation, a morbid fear of being egotistical, or a dread of being alone or isolated. Sufferers need not be physically alone, but just to believe that they are being ignored or unloved. Contrary to what would be implied by a literal reading of the term, autophobia does not describe a fear of oneself. The disorder typically develops from and is associated with other anxiety disorders. Autophobia can be associated with or accompanied by several other phobias such as agoraphobia, and is generally considered to be a part of the agoraphobic cluster. This means that autophobia has a lot of the same characteristics as certain anxiety disorders and hyperventilation disorders. The main concern of people with phobias in the agoraphobic cluster is getting help in case of emergency. This means people might be afraid of going out in public, being caught in a crowd, being alone, or being stranded. Autophobia is not to be confused with agoraphobia, self-hatred, or social anxiety, although it can be closely related to these things. It is its own phobia that tends to be accompanied by other anxiety disorders and phobias. Autophobia is closely related to monophobia, isolophobia, and eremophobia.
Hi, classmate. Saan ba tayo magagawa na activity?
Ay, dito pala yung bahay namin. Tara, pasok ka. Ito pala yung bahay namin. Pasok ka. Buka muna dyan. Classmate, kunin ko lang yung assignment natin, ha? Dyan ka lang muna.
Sige, sige.
Classmate, ano nangyari sa'yo? Okay ka lang? Tara, labas muna tayo.
Nasaan kayong bata nun? Gala na lang ng gala, kapag na magulang nun. Pag nakita kayo, kukunin ko talaga yun.
Ayoko po.
Gala ka ng gala.
Ayoko po. Huwag niyo po kayo tulong dito.
Banta.
Hindi po dito. Ayoko po dito. Labas niyo po ako dito. Dito. Sabi mo, hindi ka na ako. Ha? Diyan ka. Huwag ka umalis dyan. Ayoko po, tita. Ayoko po, tita. Huwag niyo po ako pakalawan. Palawawan niyo na po. Di na po ako gagala. Ayoko po dito. Pakalawan niyo po ako dito. Ayoko po dito. Masikip po dito. Di na po ako gagala.
Most people with claustrophobia are especially frightened by unfamiliar small spaces. Claustrophobia is often caused by a traumatic event experienced during early childhood. For example, adults may develop claustrophobia if, as a child, they were trapped or kept in a confined space can trigger fears of not being able to breathe properly, running out of oxygen, and distress at being restricted. When anxiety levels reach a certain level, the person may start to experience sweating and chills, accelerated heart rate, and high blood pressure. Claustrophobia can be treated and cured. There are different ways to treat your fear and symptoms so you can have an active and healthy life.
Ano, tara na. Hindi naman nakakatakot.
Hindi naman nauga kaya.
Sige, kaya mo yan.
Gusto ko na bumalik.
Hindi, kaya mo yan. Tara na. Sige, diretso lang. Sige pa.
Babagsak.
Kumapit ka lang.
As far as fears go, a fear of heights may be a relatively common one. Officially referred to as acrophobia, a fear of heights is quite the traditional fear or anxiety when at extreme and dangerous heights. Instead, acrophobia is the intense fear of heights which will not be particularly high. The fear might be triggered by something as simple as being on a brief step ladder or searching of the window from a floor that's above ground level. Acrophobia can become quite debilitating to the sufferer and may have an impression on lifestyle. If relaxation techniques can help to minimize these symptoms and obtain them in check. Deep breathing exercises are one among the foremost simple techniques to practice and may really help to form you are feeling more relaxed. It's also beneficial to possess something to specialize in doing, instead of that specialize in your fear. MindBody Green has created a numbered list of steps to assist you with an easy breathing exercise which will reduce fear. Check it out. Fear of heights can have an enormous impact on your life, but it isn't something that you simply need to accept. With the following pointers in mind, overcoming your fear of heights is certainly achievable.
Dala-dalawa nga pong bagyo ang binabantayan ngayon ng Pag-asa, isang nasa loob ng Philippine Area of Responsibility o PAR, at isang malakas na bagyo na papasok pa lang sa PAR sa mga susunod na araw. Alamin po natin ang latest sa lagay ng panahon mula kay GMA resident meteorologist Nathaniel Cruz. Mang Tani.
Astrophobia. Astrophobia, also known as astrapophobia, brontophobia, keranophobia, or tonitrophobia, is an abnormal fear of thunder and lightning, a type of specific phobia. It is a treatable phobia that both humans and animals can develop. The term astrophobia is composed of the words sigma tau rho alpha pi and phi beta omicron sigma. A person with astrophobia will often feel anxious during a thunderstorm even when they understand that the threat to them is minimal. Some symptoms are those accompanied with many phobias, such as trembling, crying, sweating, panicked reactions, the sudden feeling of using the bathroom, nausea, the feeling of dread, insertion of the fingers in the ears, and rapid heartbeat. However, there are some reactions that are unique to astrophobia. For instance, reassurance from other people is usually sought, and symptoms worsen when alone. Many people who have astrophobia will look for extra shelter from the storm. They might hide underneath a bed, under the covers, in a closet, in a basement, or any other space where they feel safer. Efforts are usually made to smother the sound of the thunder. The person may cover their ears or curtain the windows. A sign that someone has astrophobia is a very heightened interest in weather forecasts. An astrophobic person will be alert for news of incoming storms. They may watch the weather on television constantly during rainy bouts and may even track thunderstorms online. This can become severe enough that the person may not go outside without checking the weather first. This can lead to anxiety.
In this video, we'll discuss the definition of mysophobia, risk factors that contribute, behavior, and treatment options. According to the DSM, a specific phobia is fear or anxiety about a specific object or situation. For mysophobes, this object is germs. Some of the risk factors are family history, existing anxiety conditions, and learned behavior from psychological practice. Mysophobes are constantly aware of how many germs could possibly be around them. Common behavior tends to center around cleaning and sanitizing, whether it be the mysophobe's hand or the room that they're in. I can imagine that Lysol and Germ-X tend to be a mysophobe's best friend.